Duderstadt. I'm the President and Chief Searchologist of Searchology. We build websites, we do website design, SEO, paid search, tracking, analytics, competitive research and analysis, and reviews. We're now into this big review thing of making sure our clients get the reviews that they deserve. So a little background on me. I've been doing digital A&M, as I like to call it, since 2002. I started actually cracking up, you guys remember the Yellow Pages? I was cracking up in Yellow Pages and looking for the biggest advertisement I could find. And I'd call them up and go, hey, do you want SEO? They're like, what's SEO? It's on Google. They're like, what's a Google? Right? So I've been in this business for a long time. I love it. I love doing what I do. And just like any of you in here, you have troubles with your businesses and things that you have to keep on top of, right? Well, what we're here to talk about today is something that everybody needs to be aware of. It's net neutrality. Net neutrality is a very, very simple concept. When the net was created, it was really not created for any one person. It wasn't created for any one company, right? It was created for everybody to use. Everybody in America, everybody around the world, it doesn't matter where you are. If you can get access to it, you can use it. Net neutrality rule number 1. Net neutrality rule number 2 is it's free, right? Obviously, you've got to go through an ISP provider, internet service provider. Once you get to that point, it doesn't matter where you go, what you find, what you see, what you read, right? And the vast majority of us use the top level of the internet. The dark net is where the other 99% of what you don't see is, right? It doesn't matter because everything with net neutrality will affect both the regular net that you look at and the dark net that you typically don't look at, right? Anybody know what the dark net is? Okay, good. Let's leave it there, shall we? Another key tenet of net neutrality is that nobody should be able to control it. Nobody owns it, right? These are big deals. The other principles are everybody is free to post, publish, and participate in online communities. How many of you guys have a website at your company? Okay, how many of you guys actually post on Facebook? How many of you guys post on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, right? Okay, you're all publishers. Every single one of you in this room is a publisher, which means that you've got the right to express your views, right, wrong. I won't go down that path, but y'all follow me, right? That's what the internet's really about, okay? That's what net neutrality is. It's really the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of choice of what you're going to read, how you're going to go read it, how you're going to digest it, how you're going to respond to it. And for all of you that are small business owners, that also means that the content that you post on your own website that you think you control, and on all the other platforms that you use, i.e. the Facebooks, the Twitters, and the blah, blah, blahs, right? You should have that right to do so as long as you're following the editorial guidelines of the entity that you're dealing with, right? Right. Everything else is just all about that generalized access. Barack Obama's administration, I think it was in 2014, decided to create this thing called, I believe it was called Article 2, which is to make sure that the internet was treated more like a utility. Ergo, there could be no monopolies, nobody could control it. Everything that I just discussed, no one person, individual, or company or corporation could all of a sudden go in and start taking this over, right? It made sense. Nothing's been wrong with the internet since Time magazine in 1995 said, it's never going to go anywhere, it's dead, right? Look at us now, Mom. When I started in this industry, there was roughly about 6.5 billion in global internet advertising revenue. Now it's over 100 billion. Some more statistics for you. At least 80% of all Americans are online. 68% of all Americans use their mobile devices to find what they're looking for first. Imagine what happens if all of that information is now taken away. Right now, that Title II has been closed. The FCC, in December 14th of last year, decided in all of their infinite wisdom to shut down net neutrality, thereby opening it up to the possibility of your ISP provider to controlling what you see and giving them the ability to structure and package your internet. Yeah. So that means if you want access to Facebook, you want access to Google, and you want access to Twitter, and maybe you want access to Pinterest, guess what? That's a new package just for you on top of what they're already charging you for your cable and your internet access. It's crazy, right? Now, moreover, this also means that they're going to give you the opportunity to throttle your traffic. So when you're going to the websites that you love the most, no, maybe not. Maybe Comcast or Walt Disney wants to show you their material first, thereby putting up a wall of content that you have to go through before you can find what you're really looking for. It's kind of mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we now know what net neutrality is. We also now know what the FCC has done. His name is Alton J or Amjit something or other. Amjit Pai, who is the chairman of the FCC. On the 14th, party lines, 3-2 vote. The GOP Republicans voted to kill it, while the two Democrats said, well, wait a minute, we're going to destroy the economy. I'd also ask you to consider that there are billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that happen online through e-commerce, through Amazon, through Google. For all of you that have lead generation websites and you count on those websites to get your leads, if this remains unchecked, you will lose your leads, you will lose your exposure, and Google cannot save you. Okay? This, ladies and gent, is one of the most critical issues of our time. One of the most critical. Why? Because is there anybody in this room who doesn't use the internet every 5 seconds? No, there's not. So the minute we relinquish that control and give somebody else the ability to control what we see, do, publish, experience, share, and protest online, we are effectively shut down. I'll give you an example. Does anybody remember, I think it was 2013, it was called the Arab Spring. You guys know what that is? Okay, go ahead.
It was when there were certain uprisings that started in the Middle East and in Africa, and it was fostered by Facebook and social media.
Absolutely. Another case in point, Barack Obama, 2008, won the election. Why? Yep. Now, with those things in mind, imagine shutting all of that off. Right? Super creepy. Okay. But I'm not the harbinger of bad news. I promised Melissa I wouldn't. So we've got some good news for you. There's a, what's it called, the CRA, I believe. It's called the Congressional Review Act, right? There has been recently, because once this happened, man, it got really super ugly. People like me obviously freaked out. The internet, as a general rule, freaked out by something like 78, 79% said, dude, keep your hands off our gear, man, right? But there were fake posts in the comment sections. Wait for this. We think it was created by Russians. We aren't sure. I'm not kidding, right? I'm not kidding. We can't really figure out where that stuff came. But fake comments saying, no, this is going to be fine. This is going to be awesome. Amjit Pai himself said, you know, hey, don't worry about this because you're still going to have all the access that you need to your favorite cooking shows, to your Pinterest accounts, to your Facebook accounts, etc. He literally mocked the internet when he reposted that stuff and thinks that the Harlem Shuffle will live on. This man essentially made a mockery of one of the most important inventions of all time. Also keep in mind that the internet gives us access to knowledge. If we don't have knowledge, what happens? We don't have knowledge.
We're the dark ignorance.
That's ignorance, right. I don't think anybody in here likes to be ignorant. So going back to what's going on right now, and this is the good stuff. The congressional review guys, there are, as of yesterday, there are 40 mixed House GOP and Democrats going, no, we're stopping this, we're going to bring this to the floor of the Senate. Which means it's probably going to happen in the House too. Which means it's going to go to a vote, which is good. So that means for every single person in this room, and on that document you'll see, I printed out a location for you guys to join the fight. This discussion isn't so much about me telling you, like, wow, we're in really deep trouble, because at any moment, ladies and gentlemen, at any moment, the ISPs can go, hey, now that these rules are gone, we're going to start charging every single person more right now. We're going to limit your access right now. That can happen any day. Now, to be fair, sort of, kind of, anybody in here love their internet service provider, their cable company? Just adore them? I mean, high marks for those guys? No? Okay. One, two, maybe? The rest of us? Not so much, right? You trust them to bill you fairly? Okay, all right, I just wanted to get that out. So at this point, at any time, they can start changing those rules. They've said that they won't, but I don't believe it. Why? Because there's already evidence that they've throttled and choked and slowed your speeds already. As a matter of fact, the United States of America doesn't have the fastest internet speeds in the world. Look to Europe, look to China, look to Japan. Those guys, lightning speeds, and like right now, you're looking at your favorite cat pictures. Okay? So this does concern all of us. This does matter to all of us. I also want to paint the picture for you that if in the event this does happen, here's how it will directly affect you and your business. Right now, this second, we've got the opportunity for a free and open playing field. That means for a small business like mine, I can go out there and compete with Avenue A Razorfish or Google, which I've done, and I have defeated Google, right? So if you play your cards right and know what you're doing and you have the expertise, you can beat the Walmarts, you can beat the Kmarts, you can beat the whoever's out there, right? But once these rules change, and if they change and if they stay in place, that will no longer be a factor for you. Your traffic will decrease, your ability to reach your DMA and your target markets will go away. More than likely, what would happen is not only do you have to pay more for your ISPs, now you've got to start figuring out who to pay on top of who to pay on top of who to pay to figure out how to show up where you need to be. In a typical case scenario, here's what I see. I see a website that needs SEO, that needs paid search, that needs some type of social media presence, right? We're looking at least 4 different entities right there that I have to go through and work with. Multiply that by 50 on the smallest of cases. Once this happens, it's all shut. All shut. Yep. Okay? So that's my news for you. I'd like to open this up to the floor to you guys for questions for me and see what I can enlighten you with if I can.
How does it affect what you do?
Oh, it's going to be a colossal train wreck of epic proportions.
What did she ask? How does it affect what he does? Oh, yours.
Yeah, and so what essentially it's going to mean for a company like mine and for people that do what I do, I'll still be in business, right? But I'm going to have to go fight harder for all of my clients to go figure out where to put you. Where do you go? What channels do I send you to? How do I figure out the pricing for you? How do I figure out the fair pricing for you? How do I go out and purchase your ads at a fair price when I've got to go through your ISP first, go through their channels like MSNBC or whoever they're going to push in front of me first, right? That's what I'm going to have to go do. And then that means that I already charge awesome pricing, just to be honest with you. But that means I'm going to have to charge you more. And I don't want to do that. That's not fair. Grandma taught me, honest day's work for an honest day's pay. I honor that. Yes, ma'am.
So if it doesn't get overturned and we do have these restrictions, from what I've heard, it will be like buying DirecTV or cable TV packages. If people do that, they may not then be able to find us if we're not in that package, right?
Well, yeah. So let's say, for example, if somebody goes out and buys Facebook, Twitter, MSN, and Yahoo, but they don't buy the Googles. Google, coincidentally, is the largest search engine in the United States with an 80% search engine market share. You think Google's going to put up with this without a fight? Hell no. No, they're going to go and swing it, but yes, ma'am. That's what we think may happen. Now, hey, I want to be real clear with y'all. I'm not a soothsayer. I don't know the future of anything, right? That would make me a false prophet, right? But what I do know is that it's obvious these things can very well happen. And knowing what the ISPs have done in the past, why wouldn't you? If you're an ISP, oh yeah, charge them. Charge them. Yes, ma'am.
So, well, before net neutrality, the internet was a pretty huge success.
Yes, ma'am.
And now under net neutrality, which I haven't been following it recently, but at the time I was following it, what makes you think government wouldn't do all that? Because it was a government takeover.
Well, I don't
Do
know.
all the things you're predicting, why do you think government wouldn't do all those?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because at one point, Barack Obama was considering what's called an internet kill switch. Internet kill switch would have just given him the ability to press a button, whole internet would have shut down. I kid you not. Go back and read my blog, you can see it, internet kill switch. They do that in places like Iran, right, where if you voice the wrong opinion, they execute you. Good times. Yeah. This is really a fight of keeping this as registered as a particular thing and saying, hey, it's only this, it can be nothing else, and if they keep that Article 2 in place, we fight for that and regulate it more like a utility and keep it away from becoming a monopoly, we'll save it. We'll save it.
But that's what it was leading to, was a monopoly under net neutrality.
No,
And if you followed through with a lot of the regulations that they were promoting, it would have destroyed small businesses like you and the small cable providers.
no, it's
It's like the equivalent of Obamacare. If you read through it, that's what it did. It took over the entire internet.
well, I'm going to keep away from healthcare altogether, and I'll stick to the internet right now. Because I love you.
blame you.
I love you. No, actually, the way they were treating it was keeping it the way it already was. That's a very good way to simplify it. They weren't going to mess with something that wasn't broken. And Obama just codified that and said, hey, it ain't broken, let's not fix it. And everybody said, okay. And then the FCC said, well, wait a minute, this is impeding small business. This is impeding everybody's ability to compete in a fair and open market space, which is absolute BS. It's a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. Why? Because now they're just handing all of this over to the ISPs. Can you control your internet right now? No, you cannot. Your ISP can. Your ISP can. And that's all they've done. They just said, no, hey, by the way, ISPs can do whatever they want.
Free market.
No, it's not a free market. You know how many ISP companies there are in the United States? Like 50. That's not a free market. You know how many ISP companies we have right here in Illinois? Like 3.
Versus the government.
It's somewhere, but not many.
But so you're
It's not
saying
many.
50, even if it's 50 versus
50,
the government.
yeah, it could be 100.
Or the government.
Wouldn't matter, because
Or-
they're still willing to relinquish control
Or
to
the
the
government.
ISPs.
But it's, again, the government controlling it versus the ISP.
No, it's the government just saying, no, you can't. That's all the government's
I
saying.
might have an analogy.
I
that would
disagree.
help.
Sure.
So basically, we have an interstate highway system.
Yep.
Okay. And in some cases, because of traffic and custom, whatever, but we ought to pay taxes and things like that. That supports it. But everyone has free access to
Yes.
it. Okay. This would be as if they privatized every interstate highway, and each company decided who would be able to get on it and who would be able to get off of it. And so if you wanted to go through Iowa to get to Colorado, then you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to go north or south. It's very much like that. The internet itself right now is the free market. It is unimpeded. And I have one more point. To be certain that everybody understands that the FCC, these bureaucracies have nothing to do with our form of government, this great experiment of the United States of America, nothing to do with them at all.
there's some other entity that was made up by people in Washington that wanted to maintain power, and they can come and put these mandates on the marketplace and on individuals without us being represented in any fashion. And so that's why now this goes to Congress to get straightened out. And they really need to be dissolved. They really don't function well where they can come and put these mandates up. So look at all of them. I mean, they really, you can read books on it. Jay Sekulow has a great one talking about basically this being some other branch of government that has nothing to do with our government. So it's important to understand from our point and then to flex our muscles and get in there and get these things shut down.
Well, and I think that is probably one of the most perfect analogies I've ever heard, that you're going to be given the choice. You can take this way if you've got the money. If you don't have the money, you can go down this way. But no matter what, there will be a toll every 5 feet.
And less faster speed.
Right, absolutely. And that is not a free market. Yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mostly what you've been talking about is the ability to reach people, businesses to reach people. How will this affect people's ability to, say for example, I work for King County, so we have a website. Will people be able to openly find governmental, I mean, I'm co-chair of the jobs committee. We're not a chamber. We don't try to be a chamber. We don't try to be something that's already out there. We're there to assist, kind of as a place to bring together all kinds of small business information, workforce development programs, all of the things that will help businesses thrive in King County. So will people be able to find that readily then, if this happens?
I can answer that question.
Yeah.
Right, so there is a methodology to the madness, right? I can tell you how people find your website right now without even looking at your Google Analytics. Why? There are only so many different ways people are going to find you, right? They're called channels, right? It's called channel attribution. Channel attribution falls in primarily 5 different categories. Direct, they come right to you. Referral, somebody is clicking on a link somewhere else and coming to you. Your email, your social, or you pay for it. The 6th one, depending on how well you're doing, is your natural search. Just popping up, people are finding you on Google, that's it. So 6 primary channels for every single website in this room. I guarantee it, I'd stake my eyeballs on it, right? The other side of this is how people search. People search by 4 primary keyword means. I don't want to get all super crazy, but the biggest part of this is information. People search information. 60% or better of all of our searches are informationally based, right? So if you're providing information and you can't find you anymore because you're on a different channel than where you used to be, no, they won't find you. So informational is number 1. Navigational is number 2. Navigational means they already know your domain name and they're looking for you that way, i.e. Searchology.com, Searchology.biz, Searchology, whatever. People search that way. The other way is transactional, meaning they want to buy something, they want to sign up for something, okay? So now the informational and the transactional are gone for you if this stays into effect.
So that
the last one,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. The last one is going to be a branded search, right? So they're looking for your brand, whatever your brand is going to be, whether you're, doing Johnson & Murphy shoes or whatever, or your corporate name. So that gives you, now your chances of being found are 50-50. At best.
That's disappointing from a governmental aspect, because a lot of what we do
Is information.
is, well, it's 99, it's all information.
Yep.
But a lot of the people that we serve are the people that need it most.
Yeah.
That's my concern from a standpoint of, the court, we just put our huge court system in King County all went digital just a couple months ago. It was a huge investment on the part of the taxpayers, and everything's on the internet now. So you know, look up your court case, see when your times are, all that stuff is all online.
Right, and
How hard is that gonna be for people to find, or jury information? I have to go to jury duty on the 22nd.
you know, this will and has the potential to affect and impact hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions. Not even to mention stuff like social services, stuff like just general inquiries, stuff like, hey, by the way, you know, I just crashed through a mirror last night and I'm bleeding a lot. What do I do next? Because I actually almost did that last night. Stepped on my wife's Roomba, you know. Right through the double windows I was going right there. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I really wanted to come out and share this information with you, it's because we need to have this knowledge, damn it.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to take this knowledge and move forward with it. You know, I'm going to tell you what, as somebody that's been doing this for well over 15 years, this is what I live, I teach this stuff, okay? I've created other people's lives when I talk college. Hey, I want to do what you do, man. This stuff is so cool. And a bunch of my students actually became internet marketers, right? That's awesome. All the lives that I've personally impacted by all the work that I've done for their business, by keeping food on their table for their people, this is why it's so important. It's not just because of the awesome stuff that I do. No, it's because if I know this is going to impact any one of my clients, it's going to impact everybody. Every single American, 80% of us, it's going to hit us all. So what we need to do is we need to take action. We need to talk to our friends. We need to talk to our neighbors. We need to drop our political BS for 2 minutes and talk about the reality of what's happening right now with our biggest source of information that's ever been created in the history of mankind. If we lose this, ladies and gents, I can't even tell you what this means. I'm not waving just a red flag, y'all. I'm waving bombs, fireworks. I put on the It Clown suit if I thought it would help. One more question.
What are the benefits of taking away net neutrality? We talked about all like the negatives and everything, but why would they do it? What are the benefits of taking it away?
Very simple answer. The benefits are to none of us, period. All the benefits go to the corporate, period. The big tax cuts, and let me give you an example. The big tax cuts that were just passed was retribution for what was owed. Now, I will not name names, parties, or anything like that, but it is true. This is yet another portion of, hey, this is what is owed. So Pat, I want to answer this though completely. Well, actually, it is, especially the way the whole thing fell out. But more importantly, this will impact nobody in a positive way, with the exception of the big corporations, the ISPs. Period. Period.
What is John 18? The internet is a network of computers, and it started out in the academic community a long time ago. It was just some universities are talking about it. And then it took off, and there's a bunch of these huge computers around, and they all talk to each other. So all the information that's stored in all these computers all over the place is linked. And then you have these ISPs, like Comcast, Verizon, whatever, who control yours and mine access to that bank of computers. What the rule has been is they can sell you their service, but they can't interfere with the results that come back, right? So that people like Alton go out and they put things in the metadata and websites to make those websites pop up. So if you want to buy a job in King County, right now you say King County Job Assistance, and Becky's Google app will pop up. What Google has done and what some other companies have done have put priorities on the people who are paying them to advertise on their site. So their results come up first, right? And those are labeled, it says it's an ad, and you can do that, that's a free account. Well, what the risk is, and what they've also started to do, and what Net Neutrality said was illegal, is they would just block your stuff or not include you in the search and put you way down the list unless you were paying them to be listed as an ad. Okay? So when you take like governments, they're not gonna pay for search results, it's too expensive. So then,
That's a very good point.
They don't-
Because I can tell you that we won't do that. We don't take taxpayer money.
and small businesses
small
can't afford to.
businesses
do
can't
it.
afford it.
I mean, some of these people search or non-profit like
Oh, gosh, I didn't think about nonprofits.
Well,
That's a very good point.
and to Pat's point, remember, I believe, Pat, and correct me if I'm wrong, referring to very specific search engine, Google. There are other SE search engines that do the same thing. Bing does it, Yahoo does it, where you pay for the top position. However, that's not the only answer to get to a top position. The other big impact here, and the big negative impact is, and again, I'm trying to stay really far away from the technical stuff, is that if you already have a good position, and you could be marketing under thousands of keywords that are providing hundreds of thousands of results or thousands of results for you, okay? And they could be positioned anywhere in the top 10, top 20, top 50, top 100 search results, right? The problem is that properties like that, like Google, that is so big, can just be effectively shuttered. Effectively shuttered. So all the work that's been done on these various SEs is now gone. Yeah. So if you rely on Google for your search engine, like, I don't know, 80% of us do, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Now, let us also be clear in kind of closing, okay, is that one of the challenges that we all face, that all business owners, all governments face, is where do we put our stuff, right? You've got thousands of channels where you could go. You've got email, you've got social, you've got 50 different places under social you could go. You've got SEO, you've got link building, you've got all this crazy stuff, right? So that's your first major challenge of where do you go, where is your DMA, right? Where's your market sitting at? When something like this gets pushed through, it's going to make that challenge look like some kind of insane CIA puzzle that nobody can solve. Is it the CIA or the FBI building where they got that big crazy puzzle that nobody's figured out since it was built? It's going to be like that, or why that weird dude in either California or Colorado did the whole castle thing out of seashells. Why? I don't know. That's kind of what we'll end up looking at. But pay attention to the fight and join the fight. If you like your internet the way it is right now, regardless of what side you may or may not stand on, go fight. The time to fight is now. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.